Joining us from Washington, Republican strategist Dan Bartlett, former White House counselor to President George W. Bush. Dan, good morning to you. As you look at this appointment of Bill Daley, Bill talked a little bit about his breadth of experience there. He is, though, coming over from Chase. He sits on a number of corporate boards. Is the message from the White House essentially not only that the White House is open for, but also open to business this morning?
I really think that is the clear message. If you take this, coupled with the tax compromise they made at the end of last year, it is sending an important signal. We'll see whether it's symbolic with regards to a personnel decision or whether it's going to be substantive, and we'll be told more about that in his State of the Union address in his budget that he'll come out later this month.
The compromise, Bill mentioned that he's really seen as a centrist, Bill Daley is. He's told the New York Times in the past that he thought the administration miscalculated health care. I mean, he doesn't always see eye to eye with the president on this. Is this also an attempt, perhaps, by the president to continue that little bit of cooperation that we saw during the lame duck session?
It seems that way, Erica. On one hand, Bill Daley is the perfect pick. He has the pedigree and the credentials as a partisan. Remember, he's somebody who led the recount for Vice President Al Gore. At the same time, as Commerce Secretary under Bill Clinton, in many different postings he's had the ability to work across party lines, work with the business community. He understands the perspective of the business community because he served in senior posts, like you mentioned, on Wall Street. So he has a unique opportunity, the president does, with this pick to send a real signal, not only to Congress, but to America and to independents who have kind of moved away from this president to say, hey, take another look. We understand we're going to move to the middle. So in many respects, he's picking up where he left off at the end of last year with some real political momentum.
Should there be any concern, though, about the more liberal folks of the president's party who are feeling a little alienated and are not exactly happy with this choice?
Well, that's the challenge for him as he goes into his own re-election, is you have to take care of your base. You have to keep them energized. And I think the calculation they're making, and I bet it's the right one at this point, is that the bigger political problem for them was all the independents and those who came to his defense and came to his support during his 2008 election. Those are the critical votes going into his re-election, and that they will find other ways to keep their base satisfied. And a lot of that base satisfaction will come from the Republican nominee once they're selected.
Because that will determine so much. You worked in the White House, Dan. Talk to us a little bit about the timing of not only this change, but some of the other ones which are coming from the White House.
Well, I got to admit, that's the one part, as somebody who's actually worked in the West Wing, I give a little bit of pause. These are the types of decisions that it's easier to make in December when things are winding down and the holidays are there, so you can get people settled into the roles, you can get people comfortable with the new rhythm of a chief of staff, of people running something as important as the top economic position. So it's going to be a very hectic January, right when they're trying to get the State of the Union address ready, to get the budget ready to roll out. So a lot of long nights and early mornings there in the West Wing. I'm sure they'll figure it out. But that would be the only thing, just from a practical standpoint, that's going to be a challenge for this White House.
Although I guess that way it doesn't get lost in the shuffle of the holidays. And aren't they always long nights and days in the White House, Dan?
I have to admit, they are.
Dan Bartlett, good to have you with us as always. Thanks.
Thank you, Erica.